Wait a second. Because you don't want them to hear what we're saying.
What did you do?
Huh?
What did you do?
Oh,
Why after?
first of all, you should have wiped your screen. It's so terrible. Give me that. Oh. There, you just. Wait a second. Let me sit that movie show. So I might get bad my back. Pass the mic. Start video. It's dirty. Should have wiped this.
Or do you have to start from the beginning?
The paper, you don't want the paper. in it. What time is it?
10 to 10.
Oh, it's too early.
Well, what is this like?
I think that's as soon as they start, that will be, then you'll see people on it.
Oh,
Will be fun, yeah. Oh, it's 10 to 10, so
Yeah.
it's too early.
so I gotta wait 5 minutes?
Well, till he starts the meeting.
Well, they may come on in 5 minutes and say,
Yeah, well, they'll come on, then this will come on here.
oh, okay.
Zoom.
All right, I'll wait.
Well, I want to make sure you have it. I'm not staying to the meeting, but I just want to make sure that you can see everything and they can see you. Yeah. Stop video, share. Oh, so far you're the only participant.
Okay. Everybody knows what.
And then you could put it up against
Yeah,
here. That's you.
better hold it.
You don't have to hold it though.
Is this where the baby shower begins? I could hold it.
Hold it now, the whole time? Here, take that away.
Take this, oh, this thing's like- I'll hold it. I'll go back to sleep for 5 minutes.
What?
I'll go back to sleep.
For 5 minutes? It's my brother, Grandpa. They're so light.
Didn't want to be with you. So what will happen? They'll say something?
It should, yeah. If you need any, I'll be right here. I'll wait until you get started. I'm not gonna leave you. I don't want to just sit here like this.
There you go.
Hi, Bob.
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing just fine. And you?
You enjoying the heat?
Oh, yeah, right. I'm telling you, it really is something. Let's see.
Well,
I'm going to probably have to log back in, though. My video is not working. So you have to figure out what's going on here.
this is when you need your grandkids.
Yeah.
If I have a problem, I call one of them over and
Yeah.
boom, boom, it's done.
Let's see if that worked. Nope, still not working. Okay, I'm gonna see what's going on here. All right, I'm gonna come back in,
Okay,
see if I can figure out why my camera's not working.
you got it. Really?
Is anyone there?
No.
This is how you make it louder up here.
Oh, no, it's fine the way it is. It's fine.
You sure?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
What makes it?
Hi, Robert.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. Setting up my name. Okay, now we're set. Morning, Lou.
Morning, David.
Good.
How are you?
I'm just doing fine. I went out and walked around 6:30 this morning to beat the heat.
Yeah. Today's the day, the worst of them.
Yeah, Bob, the reason we're mentioning Lou and I were at our Wednesday walk yesterday, and it wasn't terrible, but it was starting to heat up by the time we were done.
Yep. There's
Morning,
Joe.
Jerry.
Morning, guys.
Good
Morning,
morning.
Joe.
How's everybody this fine Thursday morning?
We're never better. This is a paid political announcement.
We're waiting for it to get a little warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
No, actually, we're doing well, Joe. Lou and Jerry know Lisa had her first cataract surgery day before yesterday. No, 2
Who had
days,
that?
3 days ago. Doing well. Doing well.
Who had it?
And my wife, Lisa.
Oh,
Yeah.
How
where do
long
they
did
do
it
that
take?
these days?
What's that?
Where do they do them?
Well, the doctor we use uses the Wilton Surgery Center. Yeah, it's
They're-
just over the Wilton line.
Oh, is that the Siderides group?
Yeah, that's exact. That was Siddery.
Yeah, because I know they use that.
Yeah, that's where I had mine done. I mean, I really like it. It's kind of like going into a posh club or something. It's, you really don't feel like you're in a operating.
So it's not at the Wilton Stamford Hospital Center, which is all the way up the.
No. It's I don't know, Jerry. I guess it's a independent. I know a number of eye surgeons use it.
How long did it take the operation?
About 15 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, by the time they did the prep and then had her in post-surgery, it was, I think total in and out was like an hour.
Oh, that's not bad.
Gee, we were
That's
joking.
nothing.
It was like drive-by surgery.
Yeah. The other day, I went for a consult on my back at the Hospital for Special Surgery.
Mhm.
I had used OAS in the past, and I just wanted to get another opinion, which basically confirmed
Yeah.
everything that they said 3 years ago. But I wanted to get a fresh perspective, and they are the experts, supposedly. And it's
Now,
interesting.
they
You don't see a surgeon at first. You see this is funny, a physiatrist.
Yeah.
And when I first spoke a couple of weeks ago to set up the appointment, I wanted to go to McEnany, who spoke to us maybe a year or so ago.
Mhm.
She says, no, you got to go to a physiatrist. But I didn't understand her saying physiatrist. I thought she said podiatrist. So, no, look, I got stenosis, spondylolisthesis, and this and everything else. I know what I got. Why do I have to go to a podiatrist? She says, well, that's the way you work. You don't go to the surgeon. You got to go to this guy. And I'm saying, but there's nothing, to myself, I'm saying, there's nothing wrong with my feet.
That's so
It's my
funny.
back. So then she finally tried to spell it out, and I couldn't even get the way she was spelling it. She was having a hard time. So I finally realized it was a physiatrist who combines all the physical therapy recommendations and the injections and does everything. And then if all else fails, then he sends you to McEnany.
Yeah.
Well, I went, and this guy he gave me a complete exam, even though he had all the information from 4 years ago, and the MRI, X-rays, complete that. And he spent between, checking into the exam room till when I left, it was well over 45 minutes, including taking new X-rays. And he came up with a course of action, meds and physical therapy, which is what I was hoping And when I told them the meds that I took 4 years ago that worked, and not the meds that they prescribed me 6 months ago that didn't work, he gave me the ones that he said, well, if you think they work better, that's what I'm going to give you.
What a concept, huh?
Yeah, gee.
Here's what works.
If it works, don't screw around with it.
Yep.
You know, when you hear prednisone,
Yeah,
you think of prednisone, not the med cap, which is prednisolone, which is a derivative of prednisone. The prednisone worked.
Yeah.
And the OAS guy wanted to give me the 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 dose.
Yeah.
And it worked for a short time, but so anyway, I went and I was very, very pleased with this Dr. Blatz, youngish guy, but very thorough, very inclusive exam, and
So he is part of HSS?
they're all part of HSS. Yeah, they
Yeah.
have a nice setup down there at Chelsea Piers.
Yeah, I know. I've been there.
I
Where,
mean,
where are you going to do your physical therapy? Are you going to do it there as well?
no, I'm going to do it. He recommended the guy at the Tully, which is part of HSS system also.
Yeah, right.
And he recommended, he said, I really recommend this guy, Steve Fiorenza, who, has been very, he works well with him and he's been pleased with the results. He said, we have good people here, but he says, I'd like you to set something up with this guy, Steve.
Mhm.
And if you can't get him, then come here. But I said, well, I'd rather have Tully. It's half the distance and
Oh, yeah, I was gonna
I don't
say.
have to go on the other side of the tracks.
Right.
Oh, I'm on the other side of the tracks, and and I'm gonna see a shoulder doctor today at Chelsea Piers.
Dr. Van Beek.
Yeah.
Oh, she's hot.
Is she really? I look forward to it then.
May not know much
anything,
about
if
shoulders, but
anything-
worth seeing, right?
If anything, at least she'll get good eye candy.
Right. So do they have a physical therapy there as well?
Well, yeah, they have physical therapy at Chelsea Piers.
Okay. 'Cause I go-
At the same building, which
Okay.
is the HSS physical therapy.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I had my hand done by Dr. Dowdle, who's part of, Van Beek and Dowdle, they're part of
Stanford Health.
Stanford Health.
Yeah.
And she took, she did some work with Carol. Carol had some shoulder problems and ended up, she had a torn rotator cuff.
That's what my internist thinks I may have when I went
Yeah.
to the other day.
Yeah,
I've had a
well,
couple of those.
in Carol's case, they told her, when you reach a certain age, everybody's got a torn rotator cuff. It happens. And not to worry about it. I mean, if you can live with it, because,
now that's a very simple operation. I had at HSS a total shoulder replacement.
well, yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
And I used the Dr. David Dines, and he's the head physician for the US Tennis Open.
Yeah, all these guys at HSS all have,
Amazing.
great credentials. But
I've had a knee problem from 35 years of running and 2 rotator cuff issues. And I have been going to a pain management doctor for about 3 or 4 years, Dr. Snowball, believe it or not. And she has a physical therapist there through another group. And between the two of them, between getting shots, gel shots on my knee and exercises on my shoulders, I just went today for a shot on my knee, and they asked, the normal question, to qualify for Medicare is how much have you improved? And I said, I have no pain, no aches. I can reach up. I can walk 3 miles. So that's my story of success with Dr. Snowball.
Wow.
So
Chris, are you
you have
done,
another
Ryan?
snowball's chance in hell to collect, huh?
Well, I tell you, my wife, I have some, maybe, well, this is going back 10, 12, 2007, 13, 14 years. For a couple of years, she had been going to a pain management group. And their idea of pain management in those days was Percocet.
Mm.
And they screwed her up so bad, not from an addiction, because she couldn't wait to get, when she turned, took them off, they took her off of it. She just quit cold, she didn't have an addiction problem. However, it screwed her up gastrointestinally, which it's known to do, right? Right, Bob?
Hmm.
And she's never been the same ever since. Plus they dragged her out. And in fact, they said, well, it was spine, it was spinal, it was bullshit. She had no hip. When she finally went to the hip surgeon, he looked at the x-ray and he said, you see that? I looked at it and I said, where's her hip? And he says, that's why she needs a replacement.
Wow.
And that was from an x-ray.
She lost it.
So, she was like a year plus. And plus the fact that the muscle atrophied and it never really came back,
Wow.
even after the hip replacements, which was successful. So I tend to, I understand the guy that spoke, Dr. Joe Burstein,
Yeah.
interactive medicine. They have a guy who tends to try to do natural pain management with acupuncture and some holistic stuff. The guy's an MD, but tries not to use any hard stuff.
Hard drugs.
Let me just give you a bit of information. Whenever you have an implant, the most important question you could ask your doctor is, who is the company that you are using? Because there was an incident several years ago with Johnson & Johnson. They own an orthopedic company. They gave doctors $100,000 a year to promote their product, and the product failed. So that Johnson & Johnson is someone you do not want. Who you wouldn't want is like Smith Nephew, which is good. Also, when you have the surgery, the key to recovery is doing the physical therapy. Get addicted to it.
Yep.
I had a knee replacement. 5 weeks later, I was back playing tennis. I had a shoulder replacement. And 3 months later, I was back playing tennis. But I was so diligent in doing the physical therapy that aids the healing process very, very much.
So true.
I can offer one suggestion that I've started to do religiously now. I've gotten enough gels in my knees, shoulders, and I went to the orthopedist and I asked him, what's the expiration date of the gel that you're going to use? Now, for the third time, it's been expired medicine. And so doctors are not paying attention to it. And meanwhile, you're injecting this in critical parts of your body. So I make that a routine question. In fact, I just went to a major ear doctor in NYU, and he was ready to inject a year-old expired medicines that was over a year old already. And So he threw it away and got me a new bottle. But, I point that out as it's something that we really need to pay attention to, because doctors aren't.
And the nurses should be paying attention to it, and his assistants. Very easy to just pick up a bottle and not look on it to see the expiration date.
Yeah, and then,
I always have a question about expiration dates. And it's like, milk is not to be sold after, but yet 2 weeks after you buy it, it's still, the milk is still good. It's, some of these meds that are inorganic chemicals. How, do they just put expiration dates to save their butt? A 1 year expiration date. Everything has a 1 year expiration.
that's when they take it from the regular bottle. The bottle has a different date, but by law, if you get it, pills and that, it has to be no more than 1 year. They use 1 year.
Yeah, but the meds
But
don't.
the efficacy, what problem you have is the efficacy of the medicine that they're using. It diminishes because when they get FDA approval, they have to show it has so much shelf life, and that's what they're allowed to use. And beyond that, we take a chance. So, in
Well,
my
Bob,
book,
Bob is
I
the
think
expert
that's-
on that. What's your
Yeah,
read on that?
generally, it's good for 6 months after the expiration date. However, the 1 year occurs when you get the prescription filled at the pharmacy. And that's because they don't want you to be taking medicine unnecessarily. So for instance, if you have a thyroid condition and you have 5 renewals and you go in to get it renewed and they say, no, you need a new prescription, that's a law in just about all the states of state boards of pharmacy. Otherwise, 6 months is tops, because I always go ahead and ask the pharmacist, could you put on the label when the product expires? And so therefore, if you're taking something, we'll say as an anti-inflammatory and you're feeling better, and you no need to take it, and then 6 months later, the condition comes back, you can look on that bottle and see the expiration date.
So pills that are 10 years old in your medicine cabinet should be thrown away.
Oh, boy.
Especially when it comes to eye drops, for instance. I religiously look at the expiration dates because, maybe the efficacy is still there after the bottle expires. But will you want to take a chance with your eyesight? Thinking this? I don't.
Well, one of the things I do is look up the company to see if they've had recalls.
That's another good point. It's very true.
The problem we have now is so many of the drugs come from India and China, and they are the worst, with the most recalls of any companies. And as a result, I try to go ahead and ask the pharmacist, do you have Teva, Par, Sandoz? Those companies have a good track record. When I start hearing Dr. Reddy and Lupin and companies I never heard of, I'm really hesitant. Pfizer did the best thing. Every Pfizer product that is made generic, that is the patent has expired, they make it generically under a company called Greenstone. So if you were taking Lipitor, you could get the generic by Greenstone, which is made by Pfizer. But the pharmacy, and this is sad, they're not allowed to order any of that, only what's on the formulary put on by the corporate board. And as a result, they've been told if you order outside of what's our formulary, you can lose your job. And so this is where we get into the point where all these companies are more interested in the money than they are interested in the well-being of the patient. Johnson & Johnson went to Taipei, worked out a deal with the government to buy all the poppy flowers, brought all these flowers and converted it to fentanyl. I mean, and only for the money, because drug addiction is just rampant. And you know, are you familiar with the OxyContin?
Purdue.
A little bit, I heard about it.
Do you know who was the primary investigator on that?
Investigator?
Yeah, who brought the drug to market? You remember Jaspel? He was a member of the senior men's club.
Oh, him. Oh, he was the guy?
Yeah, he was a PhD and a pharmaceutical chemist. And one thing you learn in research is you detail everything that you do. I mean, you take 2 drops out of a bottle, you put down that you took 2 drops out of the bottle. And he had in his notes only to be used for terminally ill cancer patients. Drug, highly addictive. Purdue spells addiction a little differently than we do. They spell it M-O-N-E-Y.
Yep.
And their sales rep were instructed that if a doctor asks you if it's addictive, you tell them no. And this is what's happening with big pharma. They're more interested in their profits than they are in the well-being of the patient.
So does anybody have any cheery news?
Winter's coming.
I guess you read the paper, I guess yesterday and today. The mayor signed a document that's probably going to affect us for the picnic a little bit. It's that for any public event or event in a park of 100 people or more, masks are required. So
Let's limit it to the first 90 people that sign up.
right,
99.
registration is closed.
You know, you got 69 now, and we've been asking, so.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean,
in your next flyer out, Stu, why don't you, reservations are limited,
limited to 99 people.
99, yeah, 98 people. In case.
We gotta have George on the list too. Anyway,
I mean, that's the way you do it.
but we'll see what happens. You know, it's not the worst thing in the world. I mean, we're going to require everybody to have shots anyway per our own rules.
Yeah.
So
Well,
we'll be pretty safe. We'll be pretty safe.
I mean, if we met in somebody's backyard, we could have, 200. It's only, you put it in public, city parks and public places, but.
Yeah.
The news reports say that booster shots may be approved by the CDC.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
people that have immune compromised systems.
Right.
The only question is, if they say it's for the general use, and presumably people in our age group will get the booster shots, will we be changing our rules?
Who knows?
We
Let's
don't
see what
know.
happens, how they come. Right now, they're saying for people that are autoimmune compromised.
Right.
So it's not, they're not saying it for the general population. So
Problem
I
that
think that's
most,
to protect them. So if anybody's autoimmune compromised, the way I read it, and they don't get it, that's, they're putting themselves at risk, not anybody else.
Yeah. Also for people who have replacement parts, kidneys and stuff like that. It helps them too. The second shot.
Oh, yeah.
Third shot.
Well, replacement organs.
Organ transplant. That's the word I was looking for. Organ transplants.
I mean, your knees don't count.
Right. And my daughter-in-law has a kidney that's been donated to her, so I'm sure she's going to be getting that kind of shot.
the question I have is, are we going to get more mutants? In other words, it's now Delta that's occupying the COVID movement. And there's one called Lambda that's around the corner. And you wonder if the shot is going to be effective against those variants. Anytime you rush a drug to market, you're looking at side effects. I'll just give you an interesting.
Can't see it, Stu.
I'm going to show it to Lou. Lou, I have your check.
Oh, okay.
I haven't deposited the last 7 checks yet. Sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I'll give you just an interesting thing. We were working on a drug for the heart, and the drug was an absolute failure. And it had one positive side effect. Now, this is working for a heart drug. And you know what it turned out to be?
Erectile dysfunction.
Right, it was Viagra. Started out with no idea that that's what we were gonna get. We might get this, we might get that. And all these guys who were in the trials were saying, wow, what a wonder drug. Doesn't help my heart. It's really doing great work for me.
Uh,
I was
Look,
wondering,
a lot of great inventions were by mistake.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't it Lexan, Lloyd?
I was
The
gonna
guy
say
up at
that,
GE
I understand that's a
screwed up and ended up with Lexan.
right.
And Lexan is polycarbonate, and that's a staple today in our lives.
And Postum.
Yep.
Yeah, thought it was a waste of effort and became the biggest moneymaker.
Yeah, a lot of the great inventions were by mistake.
Yeah, I understand in that heart trials, heart medicine trial for Viagra now, the participants didn't want to return the excess medicine.
Why is that, Lloyd?
I can't understand why.
Is that why Rockefeller Rockefeller University was formed? Because Rocky made happy.
But Rockefeller was with his mistress.
Yeah, well, he was also with Happy too. So
That's a big difference.
He kept happy, so he had the mistress and kept her happy. If he didn't have the,
But isn't that our dream? When our time's up?
I think from everything I've seen on read that Pfizer is still good for the Delta variant. The Lambda is fairly rare still. So just
Pfizer is a
according to
quality-
back when COVID first came out, I remember going to the doctor's. My wife was still under the surgeon's, well, she still is now, but under the surgeon's care. And, he was concerned, and he says, no, this is not going to be a quick thing. He's good. These things go through many variations, even up to a half a dozen variations sometimes. And I mean, he's proved correct.
Yeah.
And, it's going to be, and, it might be something that we might need annual shots, tailor-made as part of the flu regimen.
I would like to know if we went from delta to lambda, what happened to epsilon, zeta, eta, theta, iota, and
And
kappa?
gamma.
I don't speak Greek, I don't know.
I
Great
read
to
that
me.
epsilon is.
Well, they were only tropical storms. They didn't. Yeah.
Did you see what happened in Tennessee yesterday?
No.
What happened in Tennessee?
And what happened in Tennessee, with school starting, for the young kids, the parents wanted the kids to wear masks. And you had the anti-maskers fighting with the people who wanted their children to wear masks.
I heard about that this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
My grandson is an emergency room physician in Florida, of all the states. And he says they come wheeling in like it's raining outside. And he says, what do you do? He says, I had a guy who had COVID. He was about 30 years old, and a 4-month-old baby who also had COVID. He says, who do I take care of first?
Yeah.
And his was, he says, I took care of the child. Child doesn't know that they should be getting the shot.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a dilemma for a lot of.
Well, he puts in 80 hours a week now because the staff is short, and some of the staff has COVID also. So you're now doing yours and covering for elsewhere. And then he said after he was working on that, the next person came in and had a heart attack. So unless we get unified, we're just going to have more problems. And the latest theory with climate control is that we're getting saturated with methane gas.
Sure. It's almost too late to do anything about it.
What was that?
It's almost too late to do anything about climate control.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what we're doing in this country is we're reducing our carbon footprint. We're doing it through private enterprise, more than government. And by us being able to reduce our carbon footprint, indirectly, we're enabling China and India to increase theirs so that we end up with carbon neutrality globally. How's that for a ramification of policies?
Yeah.
But methane is now the big item. It's like 800 times more potent than the carbon. And you
Get rid of the cows.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah. Yeah, that's, I mean, how do you tell?
Or OSHA will come out and put some kind of
Plug.
gizmo on the cow's rear end that'll purify the gas.
Most of the methane comes out of oil wells and their transportation, to the first processing units. And that's where the great leakage. One of my second cousins, yes, he was an oil field worker. And he says one of his primary jobs was to try to contain this methane that pops out of the ground, because he worked in fracking. And he said it was almost impossible.
How you
Just
do it?
couldn't do it. And they just let it go into the atmosphere.
Cam
They
and
try to
Brian,
flare it off.
Jacob all helped me.
Doesn't really work.
Jared, have all helped me just try and learn it, and we're learning from each other, whether it's a text at night or the veteran players are all setting the example.
Mac was big, you know,
Where's this
there
coming
was
from?
no type of ill will feelings in this.
Somebody's got feedback coming in.
Yeah, right, with a sports program.
Where'd that come from?
Has anybody used a gas can that has this anti, you know, fumigation devices, and have they worked for anybody?
A regular
I've
gas?
used
More
wax.
fume. I end up spilling more gas and putting more fumes in the air with them than without them.
You remember about 10 years ago, there was such a big push that when they loaded the fuel into the gas stations, they had to have a vapor recycle.
Yeah.
Remember that? Now I see it's a one-way. You know, you displace the air in the tanks, loaded whatever hydrocarbons evaporate, and goes into the air. And I think we've gone backwards there. No. And methane is a big problem. But maybe if we stop fracking and get all our oil that we need to run our economy from overseas, then we could say we reduced the methane from our country.
Yeah, so it comes up from another country and it still goes into the atmosphere.
Exactly.
It's one globe. It's one
Exactly.
world.
That's what I say. I meant it that United States reduced ours so the others can increase theirs.
Yeah.
We come up carbon
So,
neutral.
I mean, we reduce ours. Canada and Mexico increases theirs, and ours gets increased just the same. It's, you got to come to some other means of providing energy, and I mean, say what you would about nuclear, I still think nuclear is the way to go. I mean, they can control it with good controls and good watchdogs. Nuclear is relatively safe. It's when they don't control it and they let it go that you have problems. But the incidence of nuclear problems are, I shouldn't say the incident, but the fact that you have coal, oil, and what have you that you need to generate electricity and power cars, you're never going to get rid of it.
But accidents happen, and when they happen with nuclear, not that I'm big opposed to it, the results are usually pretty catastrophic. That's
Yeah,
the
but
problem.
nuclear problems,
But they happen. I mean,
yeah,
accidents.
they happen because if you look at why they happen, it's because of Chernobyl was poor maintenance.
Yeah, but they happen. They happen. It's just, I mean,
Yeah.
accidents happen.
But you know,
Should
but
we,
they're preventable.
should we
Yeah,
ban all steam boilers because one blows up and that happens? Do we ban them all?
no, but a steam
Nuclear,
affects
by the way,
small-
most of the nuclear accidents have happened because the controllers played games with the physics. You know,
but it
Chernobyl,
happened.
they lowered the water. No, 3 Mile Island, they lowered the water pressure and something for the coolant and wanted to see what the effect was. Well, the effect is it melted down.
But you take the methane and the cost of Valdez destroyed half the coastline of the Pacific coastline from North America.
Mhm.
And those those are freak accidents that are probably not preventable as opposed to, plants. I mean, look, our company built how many phosgene plants? Phosgene was the #1 killer in World War I. And I don't know of any accidents that any of the plants that we built had on phosgene. And phosgene is used in pharmaceuticals, it's used in plastics, it's used in a number of industries. And we built these plants around the world, and there's been, as far as I know, no incidents of problems with a phosgene plant. And that's just as bad as nuclear.
What's your opinion now on earthquakes? Alaska just had an 8.2 Richter scale earthquake. They seem to be more violent than before.
We should prevent them.
Yeah,
Oh,
I don't like
Cut them
it.
out.
there is a Pacific Rim.
Stuff happens, as they say.
Right.
Yeah, well.
It's, look, I mean, not to be a prophet of doom and gloom, however, the world as we know it from inception changes.
Gonna end.
Well, it's not going to end. It's going to come back in another, maybe we're going to have 4 legs so we can run faster to get away from stuff. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
We've had from caveman through, prior to the caveman, the ice age, the world transitions. Hey, I got a hypothetical question. We measure dates by BC and AD. Now, a guy that was born in 100 BC, he wasn't born in 100 BC.
No.
He was born at some point in time.
Right.
Because BC didn't exist before C.
I didn't know about C.
So what was the date that the guy that was born at 100 BC, what was his actual date?
What calendar did they use way back when?
I think it depends on where he was born.
I mean, was he 1,990,990?
They might
Think
have
about that.
Roman calendar.
What's that?
They might have used a Roman calendar.
Yeah.
But before the Romans, there were people, the Egyptians,
Yeah.
the Greeks, before the Roman Empire.
Well, and before that, they used to go by the phases of the moon. He was born on full moon.
Yeah, which full
No
moon?
date. No date. That's what.
Think about that. That's it requires deep thought. I mean, I can't figure it out.
That's not for this group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, to go back to nuclear energy, the only problem you have with nuclear power plants is the waste that they generate. And I don't mean the core waste, the peripheral waste that occur. And where are you going to put this waste? This radioactivity lasts, I guess the temporary ones last, 10 years, 100 years, or some enormous amount of time that's
Okay.
involved. And
Where do
you put it?
Where did the fuel come from? Before
It's
uranium
irradiated
was mined.
but
it
it's
was in existence.
irradiated to make it fissionable.
Okay, so I'm sure somebody could come up with a process to de-energize it. Maybe
Yeah,
expensive.
there is. They did. They called it nuclear bombs.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, come back and deactivate it or put it back into the normal state.
Yeah, but there is something called transmutation, mutation that takes place naturally. That's why our nuclear arsenal is deteriorating and so much ineffective. That's why they got to replace it every, 40 or 50 years. And
The half-life, yeah, but I mean.
that's coming up. And now, what do we do about the old bombs that are not quite neutral? They're radioactive, and just can't put them anyplace. And second of all,
Get all the
they're not my backyard, right? We have that consideration.
Get all the anti-vaxxers, put them in one place, and then you got.
Yeah. So there's no panacea, I see, of trying to give you 24/7 electrical generation available to you and no impact on the climate. I mean, it just doesn't work. So I don't know what we're going to do. We need a hybrid model. You have fossil fuel backup for the times that solar and wind energy or even hydroelectric just doesn't perform. Nighttime case of solar, no wind, and the low water levels like drought. That's happening in the Pacific Northwest now. So, there's no easy answer, and everything is fraught with a problem. It creates its own litany of difficulties.
Maybe the thing to do is to have fewer people.
A couple more pandemics and that'll happen.
Yeah. Maybe that's the reason for the pandemics.
Well, this one didn't work out. It attacks senior citizens beyond the reproduction age. So that was no help.
Yeah, but
That's a new one.
But we don't have to have you drive a car anymore.
All right.
We're the people that are using up the energy.
You're right. Well,
Yeah, there's no simple solution.
no, there isn't any.
I mean,
Every
Yeah.
solution creates two new problems.
when the population was a lot less around the world, every 20 years or so, they'd have a war and thin out the population. But it's so great now that you can't do that anymore.
But didn't China have a regulation? You can have no more than one child.
Yeah, but they've changed it.
Change that.
No,
Yeah, they
That
just
didn't
changed
work.
it.
And now they're facing a real problem, is that the working age population is decreasing while their elderly population is
It's decreasing.
growing geometrically.
Gee, that sounds, we're doing the same
work
thing, but
together.
not as drastic.
No, but we're lucky because we have an open border, southern border that allows millions of people to come in, and a lot of them are working age. If the government will allow them to work, that's something else. But there is a working age and a repopulation potential for these people coming in by the hundreds of thousands.
Of course, they're bringing the
However,
pandemic with
if
them.
you take an airplane, you better make sure, international flight, you better make sure that you get your COVID test before you try to enter the United States again. That's very important. Because I'm taking an international trip in a couple of months. And so I'm making sure that I can come back to the United States.
Look at the crazies with some of the passengers. They don't want to wear face masks during the flight. They had to wrap some kid up in tape because he was abusive.
I saw that.
That's,
Someone tried to break into the cockpit.
So they want to stop selling alcohol at the airports, I heard. Or less
That
alcohol.
would be good.
That's just when you need it.
Mhm.
For some.
Well, you gotta be careful. Remember the incident of the 18 girls? on a
Oh,
flight
yeah.
from Kiev to Amsterdam. They started to eat when the plane was just taking off. And they said, no, we're gonna eat first. They had trouble getting back to the United States.
Well, you have to go by the protocol of the airline.
Right.
Anyone seen any bears coming into town?
Bears.
Oh, deer, plenty of deer, but no bears.
Yeah, we get deers once in a while, even down here.
Yep. Franco, you're not coming in.
Somebody that my daughter works with lives up by the roundabout on Newfield Avenue and had a bear on her patio and backyard.
So Lakeside Drive area.
Just before, no, on the Newfield side, but you know, closer to Newfield. But yeah, the lakeside.
That's a roundabout, yeah.
Yeah. And that's only what, quarter of a mile up from my house, a half a mile at most.
There was a
But
guy who
I've
was-
had coyote, I've had deer, and just recently I spotted a fisher cat, which is not a cat, it's a weasel of some sort, but it's an
Like a-
ugly looking sucker.
That's-
Brazenly walk across my backyard into my neighbors. I said, goodbye.
You'll reduce your squirrel population.
My squirrel population is not as big as it was before last year.
Yeah. I could use one, a fisher cat.
There's a shortage of squirrels, I heard.
Wow.
A shortage
I
of
didn't
everything
have,
else.
I used to have 3 or 4 walking on my patio, Carl, Stu,
Yeah,
on my patio there. I used to have 3 or 4 squirrels at a time, and then they would chase the 4 chipmunks away.
Well, I saw a hawk pick up a
Oh,
squirrel
yeah.
from a little triangle spot we have where I live. And because I saw the hawk sitting on a sign post, just sitting there. And
Waiting.
I came back, he was gone. I didn't know what happened to him. And then I looked across the street, there he was, zooming down, picked up a squirrel in his talons, and off he flew.
Yep. And they would fly. There was a branch on the tree that I had taken down that they would hop onto and viciously tear apart the animal that they caught, whether it was a squirrel or a chipmunk. Oh my God. But I was cheering them on.
Don't you admire their eyesight when they're flying and they spot a squirrel, a mouse, a rat, and they just zoom in?
Yeah.
Their eyesight is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, they're soaring up a couple of 100 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
And I mean, they come down wow, like a dive bomber.
Well, in Florida, they have a bird called a mockingbird. And they build their nest. And what happens, if you go anywhere near the nest, they swoop down and pluck a piece of hair out of your head.
Well, I got attacked by robins. They had a nest in a bush near my in a mountain laurel bush, and I didn't see the nest. It was tucked in, and I started trimming the bush, and it sucker come out and come right at me.
I don't know if they can get a piece of hair out of you, Joe.
They didn't get any hair, but I guess something else came out of me because that thing was vicious.
Well, I had by me one of those Canadian geese, and I went out. This thing looked at me. I looked at it. And I went in. He took off. 13 eggs waiting to be hatched.
I hope you looked when you went out again, where you were walking.
It was funny, you know. I just opened the front door, you know, like to get the newspaper. And
They're all behind Stu.
Right. There they are.
Stu was feeding them.
It's tough walking to Cummings Beach sometimes.
Hey, there they are.
They get bigger. They get bigger.
Are you all aware that?
I remember before Mike Sullivan took over at the Hubbard Heights or Gaynor Brennan, we used to play golf there with our company league. And this is like 5:30 at night, played 9 holes. And the 7th hole, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the 7th hole, you hit it off and down and, you know, elevated tee down, then across a brook. But if you hit it to the right, you're behind a grove of trees. And they used to have geese. There must have been 30 or 40 Canadian geese grazing in that area. And like Lloyd said, you couldn't avoid walking in this stuff if you wanted to retrieve your ball. And you had to clean away, scoop away to hit the ball. But then he got the dog. They brought a dog down, and the geese problem disappeared. And the dog would just, he wouldn't bite him or anything, he'd just run after them and they'd take off. They didn't want to be annoyed, and they went up to Sterling Farms.
I think Jerry wants to say something.
Are you aware that David Martin received over 3,000 signatures?
Yep.
To force a primary on September 14th, I believe.
Yep.
Between himself and Caroline Simmons for the Democratic candidate. He needed 1,550, which was 5% of the registered Democrats, which obviously is a little over 30,000 in the Stamford area. And he received over 3,000 signatures.
Great.
So there will be a primary before the picnic.
That's right.
So we will know.
Yeah.
That's if we have less than 100 people at the picnic.
Yeah, no, it'll be, should be interesting. I mean, I don't know much about Caroline Simmons, except that, and she's not the only one. Her and all the other local Democratic legislators never did anything for this, you know, part of the state. They always voted with the upstaters who think that we're orphans. And they all supported the tolls, which would have been more onerous on us and everything else. You know, we never got our fair share of anything. So.
Well, Caroline is a very smart, bright young woman.
Oh.
But has never been involved with city or city politics.
Or supporting the city. I mean, even supporting our area, you know, from a taxation standpoint, from a any of the things that they wanted to do. So
Yeah, Jerry, about the petition, you know, I signed it, like, I didn't think it was fair for the party just to anoint Caroline Simmons. Regardless, I'm not sure whether I like her or not, but I mean, I would think the incumbent deserves at least a primary. I mean, it's
Yeah.
ludicrous to.
Malloy still pulls the strings down here, Gary, even though he's out of politics. And Martin and Malloy never really hit it off in the latter days. And
Well, now the
so
public.
they ended up changing the whole Democratic city committee.
You know, it didn't smell right that she was on, and it's actually unfair to her, but it doesn't smell right that someone who's not an incumbent can just be, you know, the party says, okay, we're just going to run her. Because we're used to primaries now, you know, like 20, 30 years ago, we never had primaries. Nobody would care, but they're becoming a fact of life. And, you know, at least let her tell us what she's going to do and let, you know, and we know about, you know, whatever. Anyway.
Well, now you'll have the opportunity to listen to both of them, check their background, their quality, and what they have done and what they plan to do. And the public can make their choice now.
Yeah.
I mean, we remember a couple of years ago, we had her as a speaker at SMAS. And she's obviously very bright and she seemed like a good person, but like you said, she never managed anything.
Yeah. Yeah, everything she said at that time, she never did anything about it.
That I don't know, but let's put it this way. I think she makes $28,000 a year as a state representative, and the mayor, I don't know what he makes, but it's a hell of a lot more than $28,000 a year.
Yeah, he makes
a couple $100,000.
No, I don't think he's up to a couple of hundred. He's still under, I think they're under 200.
That's a couple.
Yeah. But a state rep is not a full-time job, Jerry. A state rep is. I mean, you're not a state rep if you're hurting for money. All right.
Yeah. Well, by the way, it's something very important to remember about when you're a state rep. After about 10 years as a state rep, you know, 2 or 3 elections, and you're still there, you can go and if your party's in the governorship, you can join the administration at a high level executive position, and your pension
is guaranteed.
Years come in so that it's based on monetarily what you made in the last few years. That's your high level executive position, but it counts time wise for your entire public service, including times in your rep as a representative. So I remember I asked that once of William Tong when he was at the meeting, and he pretty much said, yes, that's still in effect, and I'm going to take advantage of it.
What's your feeling on term limits?
Gets 28,000, but in the short term. In the long term, she'll be getting well over 100,000 because we're a Democratic state, and that's not about to change.
Plus, they get involved in PACs and whatnot.
What's your opinion on term limits?
Should have them.
Should have them, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, some kind of limit.
You know, my theory there is that you enable someone else now to develop his own graph system so that you share the wealth around. Graph is unavoidable.
Yeah, but it takes a number of years to get up to the level that some of these people are. I mean, explain to me, how does a congressperson, a representative in Congress, become rich after serving a couple of years?
I make a lot of speeches.
Yeah.
By the way, there's allowed to do insider trading where nobody else is allowed to.
You got it, Lloyd. Why do they if you look at some of the things that they talk about, they don't even have to pass, just talk about, and the next day how the stock market gets affected.
Oh, yeah.
So if you know you're going to talk about something that might be controversial and you sell off 2 days beforehand, and then it gets passed and the market takes a dive, and then you buy in a day after the dive, or vice versa,
Mhm.
you become rich instantaneously. So,
This could be a whole discussion by itself.
no, I mean, there's
And it's
nothing.
11 o'clock.
Why? Oh, you're going to deny that fact?
Oh, we probably
So
should
after-
say, the title of the topic should be How We Missed Out.
After remembering the medical portion of our talk, I'm going to leave and get a good stiff drink.
All right, it's 11 o'clock, guys.
Yeah.
Actually, that would be a bigger improvement on your health than any pills you take.
Thank you very much.
All right.
You know, yeah, it's 11 o'clock. So
See you.
Have a good week.
everybody,
Have a great
see
week.
you, and have a great week.
See you around.
Right. Keep in tune.
Take care.
Take care.
Remember what happened to the dinosaurs?
Yeah. We're going to be the dinosaurs 1,000 years from now. 10,000 years from now, who knows? But remember, come up with, how did you measure the dates back before BC? All right, take care, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, Miriam. It's all yours. What? Yeah.
Something was placed $499 on our Amazon account.
Oh, that's a scam.
So I just hung up.
That's a scam.
I thought so, but I just wondered if
Yeah, they once called up.
they called before.
They called, I called the bank. And I called well, we don't have an Amazon card.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And Amazon told me it's a scam, but I checked it out through the bank. And through Amazon, who the person was that they were sending the merchandise to. And they said it doesn't exist. Is it though? People are so crooked.
It's awful. You don't know what to believe, you know what not to believe.
That's why I get rid of all this junk mail. I'm unsubscribing to a lot of things. Congratulations.
Unsubscribe from like Brandeis.
No.
Or Jewish organization.
Congratulations, you won $100 gift card to Kohl.
Where?
You know, like Kohl department store.
Yeah,
You won $100 gift card.
and not the Jewish organizations, I don't want that.
No,
All right, so you gonna take your own breakfast?
yep. Ah. Dow Jones
Dishwasher clean or dirty?
dishwasher
Yeah.
is dirty
So why don't you start it up?
because there's hardly anything in there.
Man knows his dishwasher. She'll come soon, and then she. Okay. Did you enjoy the meeting?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Good. And I'm invited next time
Yes, you are.
to lecture? I'm gonna lecture?
No, you're invited to do the talk about sanitation engineering.
I'll talk about getting into an Ivy League school,
Yeah, a lot of kids get in.
because I'm sure their children, grandchildren didn't get it. I'll have to discuss it on the highest level of my intellect, which is very high, very high. Don't be afraid, Grandpa, don't be afraid. Oh, we need tissues here, I meant to tell you that.
Yeah, that's why I asked you if you, oh, here's the box.
Oh,
Okay.
all right, well, I would get done now with it. What are you doing on the, don't do that now. She wants to come, she'll come within an hour.
No, I'm gonna recharge this. Are you gonna go on to the one for the JCC?
What did you say?
You know, like they're having something, ask the rabbi,
When?
about 12:30.
I didn't get anything about that.
No, I did. Wow, here, let me show.
No.
You know,
She's gonna be here and I wanna be on the.
well, it's only 11 o'clock.
Was it 12:30 though?
Oh, so you don't want to do it?
No.
Okay.
Like to go out or have lunch and go out?
We're gonna be able to do a few, you know who's,
What?
a few.
Yeah, but not now. I'll eat breakfast now.
Yeah, did you eat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dave, the time has come. Oh.
My name isn't Dave, it's David.
Who cares what your name is? Could be Fisher.
Don't forget my middle name, Miller.
Oh, hello.
Here's this, what is it? This is a drink, you use this?
What is it?
This.
It tastes like coffee.
Oh, sorry. You're right, it is.
Yeah, what happened to my little cup of it?
I didn't do anything. Let me just sit down and watch the view,
Oh, yeah, the view's on, it's 10 after. Who's on the phone?
That's it.
Your name is ringing.
Oh, one was Debbie, the doctor, What's today, the 12th?
Yeah.
Can I have the, my iPad, please?
Okay. Just 1 second. One iPad, come out.
How many, men were on today?
I think we went about 5, 6.
I don't know. Wait for the summer or?
Did you ever hear of the star Beyonce?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anything about her.
Well, she has a daughter that she named Blue Ivy.
Oh, yeah. Blue Ivy, come forward, please.
9.5 years old, and she has twins of 4. Their names, one is Rumi, 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 and the other one is Sir, Sir.
The third one is stupid. Stupid.
Weight Watchers shares dive as people put diets on hold.
What was that?
Weight Watchers, there's fewer people going to Weight Watchers because people are putting their diets on hold.
Oh.
They dived by 25%.
I think that's what all these guys.
What do you mean?
The only one that you see now being advertised is that news.
Yeah. I'll handle the situation. Hello. To apply for some credit card. The guy's name was David.
Wow, we're taking it.
David is all over the Young Republican site.
Yeah, not good.
Be quiet, Grandpa Bobby. Count your freckles and start on your toes. That's all I have to tell you. Start on your toes. I don't want to hear another word about it. What am I, a dumb child?
Oh, you're still away.
Do you miss me, Grandpa? Well, I'm not getting your sweatshirt if you don't miss me. David was president of the Young Republicans Club.
Yeah, I knew that.
What's today's date?
'cause, well,
Multiple sharks spotted along Rockaway Beach.
Really?
Yup, on the internet.
Well, you never think about not going in the water.
Why?
But you would always think of nothing about going into the water.
Yeah, along Rockaway Beach. There were more reports of shark sightings off beaches in our area on Wednesday. The park department says there were multiple sightings along the length of Rockaway Beach in Queens. The beach closed to swimming as a result.